I'll go into the restaurant, hotel, service accommodation. I'll go as a guest, so the whole booking process,
Cool.
contact them to see how responsive they are, if I've got any needs, all those sort of things.
So a little bit like a secret shopper.
Yeah.
But they know about it.
Well,
But you're critiquing.
yeah, exactly. So the only people that would probably know more about it is an SA provider, service accommodation provider, because they're not the ones that usually have like a big team under them. But if it's a hotel or restaurant, if it's only the owner who knows who I am, the team won't know, which is the best way. But with service accommodation, you can still do it perfectly fine. But obviously, the person you're dealing with will know who you are and what you're doing, going there for. So I'll go there, see what the issues are, kind of observe everything, like look at the maintenance, cleanliness, customer service, how well they are at dealing with any issues, if they do arise, fake issues that arise, because you need to know how they would respond in these real situations. And then from that, create a hospitality business plan, which they can either conduct with their own team, or I can help them with that. So it can be like a weekly call, monthly call, or I can actually go in and deliver that training myself.
Wow. What a great concept.
Thank you.
I really like that.
It is something I'm so passionate about. And I think that with the rise of service accommodation and the competitiveness of the market, hospitality market as a whole, you've got restaurants popping up each week. Hotel, if you go in, you're from near London. I mean, if you go into London, there's literally a new hotel. You can walk down one road and there'll be about 5 hotels.
Absolutely.
So the competitiveness, you need to stand out. And one way to stand out is customer focus, which, I mean, I'd rather go to a hotel that was probably a 4 out of 5, but a 6 out of 5 out of customer service.
That's really, really cool. Well, I might have to give you a call and get you into
anytime, Alex.
portfolio. Guys, get in touch with Daniela. That is an awesome, awesome concept. And like you said, if you can get your customer experience level up here, I don't see how you can't exceed in this space, because that is what's letting most people down, I think. You know, yeah, you'll get bookings, but you know, if you're not providing all of the bits in between from arrival to departure, that's how you grow, right?
Yeah.
Reviews, that's how you scale, that's how you keep landlords happy, that's how you keep agents happy, that's the whole thing.
And the more time you spend with issues, the less time you have to grow a business.
Yeah.
Because even if you have a team, if there's a lot of issues, you're naturally dragged into it anyway.
Yeah.
So once things are ironed out, the team are trained, everything's a lot more smooth, it will give you that release to be able to grow the business, is what everyone wants to do.
And I think a lot of operators, they don't necessarily have that preparedness to deal with the problems, because you can go a year, 2 years, God, you might even be able to go 3 years and not really have any issues, like major issues. You know, no maintenance issues, you get a good run of guests, you don't have any real problems. So you start to get like a little relaxed, and you just think and then when something does happen, when there's a problem with a booking, when there's a complaint, when there's this, where there's that, it's like, God, I don't know how to deal with this, because they're not prepared.
When you're on holiday and you get that call, it's always when you're on holiday as well. Like, can't you not be in the UK?
Yeah, I was out this Christmas Eve dealing with issues. It's part of the business. But okay, cool. Well, look, let's kind of get to wrapping things up here. I think we've got a pretty good idea about where you've come from, where you've been, where you are now. It sounds absolutely incredible. You're really an inspirational person. I love what you're doing. I love this business that you're building, bringing so much value to this sector. And I think there's a lot of people that could benefit massively from working with you and bringing you in. I love the concept. I'd like to close up by asking you one question, if you don't mind getting a little bit personal.
Anytime.
Okay. We are quite passionate about mental health, general kind of happiness. There's a lot of fake stuff in this world, social media, stuff like that. It's very powerful, but it can also affect a lot of people. This feeling of comparing yourself, you're not doing enough, you're not big enough, you're not successful enough. So, and I think that can affect a lot of people. And I'd just like to ask you just a simple question, and be as honest as you can. I think being vulnerable and being open and honest is massive, and I think it makes people warm to you. That's what I'm a big advocate for. Be honest, be vulnerable, be real about where you are in life, in business, and that will help you grow. So, Daniela, in this world, in this life, today, this second, are you happy? 3 words.
Right now, yes. I would say last year, sorry Alex, nothing's a simple question with me. Last year was a roller coaster. It was a year of growth, change. I only left my job last year. I sold my business last year, started a new business, invested a lot of money in the business. It was incredible learning. This year is about excelling, but mental health is real. I never suffered from it, and not suffered from it, I never was exposed to it until I started my own business. And you can see that if you don't look after yourself, because naturally you can be working 7 days a week, 5:30 a.m. sometimes you wake up because you're like, I want to get ahead of the day, and then you don't finish till late in the evening.
5 a.m. club.
Well, I occasionally do it, and I'm so proud of myself when I do, but you have to look after yourself. When I was still part-time working and doing the service accommodation business, I started suffering from anxiety, which I'd never had before in my life. And
so common.
It's until you're exposed to it in that way, and it's going to sound awful, Alex, but you kind of don't believe it because that word gets thrown around so much.
That's just you being weak. Come on, toughen up.
Well, so I think sometimes it is thrown around a bit too much, because when someone really is suffering from it, you don't actually understand, because until I kind of went through it, I was like, it's real, like to the point where I would dread going into London, feeling sick. I felt sick the thought of having to go into London. Not because I hated my job, I love my colleagues, it's my job, but it was so much. Airbnb, service accommodation is 24/7.
Yeah.
So adding a job onto that and I want to be 100% when I'm in my job, because that's not fair on my employer. So if there was an issue, my anxiety would go through the roof. I'd feel sick. I couldn't eat. It took me, even when I left my job, a long time to be able to go back into London, just to travel, just to go as a day out with my friends. Yeah. I am in a really good mental place at the moment. I've worked really hard on myself. I've worked really hard on my confidence. And I'm really happy and proud of where I am and kind of what 2013 has taught me to bring me here. But looking after yourself is huge, and I'm such an advocate for that. I really pushed myself too hard when my anxiety was at its worst. And part of me leaving my job was to get myself, obviously the service accommodation business was doing really well as well. So it was one of those things I was planning on leaving when I got to that point, but I needed to look after myself a bit too.
That's awesome. Really appreciate your honesty on that, because I find, doesn't matter who I ask, when you ask that question, if the person's open to being honest, no one ever sits there and goes, you know what, it's like, I'm just like perfect. Everyone's got their problems, or they've had problems, or they're working through something. So yeah, I think just do your best, and don't push yourself too much. Remember to take a bit of downtime and appreciate where you've got to, right? So to close up in a couple of sentences, as a successful entrepreneur, as a successful woman entrepreneur as well, which is even more impressive, in a couple of sentences, what advice would you give to people who are watching and listening to this to get started and to start their own journey of trying to create a bit more of a life on their terms? What's some of the key points in a couple of sentences? Where would you go?
I think I'm just gonna say, just stop caring. Just honestly, who cares about anyone, anything, what you put on social media? I was so conscious of what I was putting online before, what people thought about me. I'm from I know it's very, you asked for 3 words, but I come from a community where it's really like, you be careful what you say, you don't want to say the wrong thing, you don't want to embarrass yourself or your family. It's all about family pride, tradition. But I've stopped caring about everything, because with all due respect, no one's going to care if I go into liquidation. 100%. So why should I care now?
It's so true.
So yeah, just stop caring. Start now, get perfect later. I can barely spell, and I've had several businesses. So just go for it. And I know that's not probably the advice maybe a lot of people want, or they want some other advice, but that's what I would give, because as soon as I stopped caring is when I was going for it.